connected to the serial killer. Right now, critical clues may be in the hands of police, and investigators want to use new technology to examine old evidence from two crime scenes.
He was handsome, he was charming. He worked at a suicide prevention hotline, studied law, and was praised by professors and politicians alike. On the surface, Ted Bundy looked like someone destined for greatness. But underneath that polished exterior lived something cold, calculated, and deeply sinister. Bundy didn't just commit crimes, he perfected the art of deception, turning his greatest weapon not into a knife or a gun, but into his own personality. This is the story of one of the most disturbing criminal investigations in American history, and what investigators uncovered when they finally pulled back the mask. The making of a monster, Theodore Robert Bundy was born on November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont. His birth came wrapped in secrecy. His mother, Eleanor Louise Cowell, was unmarried, and for years, Bundy grew up believing his grandparents were his actual parents and that his mother was his older sister. The truth about his origins was a source of deep confusion that followed him well into adulthood. When his mother eventually married and the family relocated to Tacoma, Washington, young Bundy struggled to connect emotionally with those around him. Classmates described him as shy and awkward in his early years, though he gradually developed the social skills that would later define his public persona. By the time Bundy reached college, something had shifted. He enrolled at the University of Washington, changed his major to psychology, and became a standout student. He volunteered at a Seattle crisis hotline, where a coworker, a former police officer and crime writer named Ann Rule, described him as genuinely kind and compassionate. He campaigned for a Washington governor's re-election, was appointed to a crime prevention advisory committee, and even applied to law school. Nothing about him triggered alarm. That was precisely the point. Psychologists who later studied Bundy extensively concluded that he possessed the traits of a highly functional psychopath. He was deceptive, manipulative, and completely without empathy, yet he masked these qualities behind high intelligence and social charm. A group of 73 clinical psychologists who reviewed his case in 2007 diagnosed him with narcissistic personality disorder and identified traits consistent with borderline schizophrenia. They described him as arrogant and callous, yet simultaneously competent, orderly, and goal-oriented. He was, in the words of one researcher, a successful psychopath, someone who had all the core characteristics of psychopathy, but had managed to exploit others for years while evading punishment. His early life planted the seeds. His psychology watered them. The crimes and the chase, young women began disappearing across the Pacific Northwest in 1974. They were often college-aged, attractive, and shared a striking physical similarity, long hair parted down the middle. They vanished from parks, university campuses, and busy public spaces. There were no witnesses, no bodies, no clear leads. Investigators were dealing with a ghost. What made the situation even more baffling was the method Bundy used to approach his victims. He often posed as an injured man, wearing a fake cast on his arm or using crutches, asking unsuspecting women for help carrying something to his car. Others he approached pretending to be a police officer. He exploited people's natural instinct to help and to trust authority. By the time any of them realized something was wrong, it was already too late. At Lake Sammamish State Park on July 14, 1974, two women, Janice Ott and Denise Naslund, vanished hours apart. Multiple witnesses recalled a man named Ted, who had been speaking to out near the water. He had asked her to help him with a boat. This became a critical lead. Police in Washington put out a public appeal, asking anyone who knew a man named Ted driving a tan Volkswagen Beetle to come forward. Among the thousands of tips that flooded in, 5 separate callers named the same person, Ted Bundy. Investigators looked into him briefly but cleared him without deeper scrutiny. He simply did not fit the image of a killer that law enforcement had in mind at the time. Bundy relocated to Salt Lake City in late 1974 to attend the University of Utah Law School. The disappearances followed him. He moved through Utah, Colorado, and Idaho, leaving a trail of missing women. In November 1974, he approached 18-year-old Carol Durant in a Utah shopping mall, posing as a police officer and luring her into his car. She managed to escape when he tried to handcuff her. She survived. Her testimony would later prove vital. Then in August 1975, a Utah Highway Patrol sergeant pulled over a tan Volkswagen Beetle behaving suspiciously near a residential area late at night. Inside the car, he found a ski mask, a crowbar, handcuffs, and an ice pick. The driver was Ted Bundy. The items were suspicious but not enough on their own for a murder charge. However, the arrest set the investigation in motion in a serious way. Carol Durant and 2 other witnesses identified Bundy in a police lineup. He was convicted of aggravated kidnapping and sentenced to prison. while awaiting trial on murder charges in Colorado in 1977. Bundy escaped from a courthouse law library by jumping out of a second-story window. He was recaptured weeks later but escaped again on December 30 of that same year, this time crawling through a ceiling panel in his cell. He made his way to Tallahassee, Florida, where, on the night of January 14, 1978, he broke into the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University. He attacked 4 women while they slept. 2 of them, Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy, did not survive. Less than a month later, he abducted and murdered 12-year-old Kimberly Leach. These were his final crimes. He was stopped by a Pensacola police officer on February 15, 1978, after the officer ran his plates and discovered the car was stolen. Ted Bundy was finally and permanently off the streets. The investigation that changed criminal profiling, the trials that followed, were unlike anything the American legal system had seen. Bundy, the former law student, dismissed his defense attorneys and chose to represent himself. He cross-examined witnesses, delivered courtroom speeches, and turned the entire proceedings into what many observers described as a disturbing performance built around his own ego. During the penalty phase of one of his trials, he proposed marriage to his girlfriend from the witness stand in the presence of a notary public, making the union legally binding under Florida law. The jury still recommended death. The most damning piece of forensic evidence came in the form of bite marks. Investigators found distinct bite marks on Lisa Levy's body that were definitively matched to Bundy's teeth, a form of forensic analysis that had rarely been used so conclusively in a criminal trial at that time. Combined with fiber evidence linking him to Kimberly Leach, the physical proof was overwhelming. Bundy was convicted of the Chi Omega murders in 1979 and sentenced to death. In 1980, a second death sentence followed for the murder of Kimberly Leach. For a decade, Bundy fought his execution through every available legal channel. But in early 1989, with all appeals exhausted and his execution date confirmed for January 24, he finally agreed to speak with investigators. In his final days, he confessed to more than 20 murders across multiple states, though investigators believed the true number was far higher. Some evidence suggested he may have begun killing as far back as the early 1970s, and possibly even earlier. He described details of crimes so graphic that one investigator who interviewed him the day before his execution stated he might never be able to speak about them publicly. Bundy's case had a profound and lasting impact on the science of criminal investigation. The FBI's behavioral science unit used his profile extensively to develop a deeper framework for identifying and understanding serial killers. He was classified as a psychopathic sexual predator, a designation that helped investigators across the country sharpen their approach to similar cases. In a strange and deeply unsettling twist, Bundy himself assisted FBI investigators from prison, offering insights into the psychology and patterns of another serial killer. He understood the predatory mind because it was his own. Ted Bundy was executed in Florida's electric chair. Crowds gathered outside the prison. Some cheered, some held signs. The end of his life brought a complicated form of closure to a nation that had watched in horror as one charming, intelligent, deeply disturbed man had outpaced law enforcement for years. What his case ultimately taught the world was this: evil does not always announce itself. Sometimes it wears a smile, carries a briefcase, and holds the door open. Understanding that truth is perhaps the most important lesson Bundy left behind.